Hello and welcome to Leading in Ciru. I am your host, Ciru, a HR leader and a life coach. I am passionate about helping women see themselves confidently, be seen boldly, and thrive in every aspect of their life. This episode, we have an amazing guest who's going to be talking about financial protection for modern families. We have been having a series where we're talking about all things families. It could be blended families, and now we have a new term, modern families. Very welcome.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Mary Tairo, and I'm the founder of La Risk Africa. I'm very passionate about the protection and preservation of family wealth. If there's one thing that we have noticed over a long period of time, is a lot of us, especially Kenyans and Africans in general, we like to focus on how do we make this money, how do we create and multiply this wealth. But the one aspect that a lot of us don't think about is how can we make sure that we protect and preserve this wealth. And when it comes to protection and preservation, it's very wide. It could mean, liquidity planning, because sometimes life does happen, right? And then also, are we creating the right structures to just make sure that whenever life does happen, or we are moving from one situation to another, like even transitioning maybe from being single to being married, that it still holds firm. Yeah. So we like to focus on the protection preservation, and one of our biggest focus has been modern families. Yeah, and I'm going to explain what a modern family is.
That show, Modern Family. But I like when you talk about protection and liquidity, even as you explain what modern families are.
Yes.
I know of a person who has so much land.
Yes.
But he can't pay his bills.
That is the worst thing. Asset rich, cash poor.
Yeah. Continue.
So what a modern family is, the typical traditional family has been father, mother, most probably married at a young age, and then they have their children. But then life has changed, especially over the last number of years. So now we're having situations where there's only one parent taking care of the family fully. We also have blended families. That means that you come with your kids, I come with my kids, and we come together in this union, right? And then there is even domestic partnerships, right? They're not legally married, but still living together as a family. Another type of modern family is intergenerational families. That means that someone who's 60 married to someone who's 20.
Oh, that's happening a lot.
It's happening a lot, yeah? So how it is that you plan for that is not the typical how it is that you plan for a normal family. So you have to know, okay, in my situation, it's not the normal dad, mom, the way that we've been married young, we have all these kids. How exactly can we now plan our lives and our finances accordingly so that there is minimal chaos? Because we know, by the way, lack of structure and lack of planning with modern family brings a lot of chaos, and is going to bring also continuity and peace of mind no matter what. Yes.
We actually had a session and we were talking about blended families, and the blended family coach told us that there's a very high percentage of second, third, fourth marriages failing than the first marriages.
Wow.
There's so many contributory factors.
Yes.
And because among the pillars of a family, of a relationship, is finances.
Exactly.
So I know among many other things, finances is critical. It's a key component of that contributes to the breakup of these modern families.
Exactly.
So tell us how we can protect. And first, even before protecting, how do we build wealth?
I think, we can sit here the whole day. So what I could do is now maybe take I take you through now the different pillars of wealth and how we can go through each and every single pillar. Because when it comes to wealth management, it's extremely wide.
Very wide.
Very,
so
very
today we're
wide.
talking protection, modern modern finances and modern families.
Exactly. But I want to speak about all the different pillars, so it's very clear how protection does come in. So the one which we all know of, and especially as Kenyans, we go buy a cattle plot, a house, put money in bonds. The first pillar is wealth creation.
Now I have too many plots, I don't even know where they are.
Hey, Zilema 8th.
I know. Juska, I don't know where.
In the middle of nowhere.
Oh Lord, some I don't even know where they are, to be honest.
We're going to talk about that one, So first of all, we have wealth creation, because a lot of us want to make this money, and we want to also make this money grow. So wealth creation focuses on investments. That means I'm putting money in a certain instrument, an asset, so that in time it can be able to grow it, or it can be able to give me an income. So one thing people also have to remember is that even you yourself are your greatest asset, because you go to work and you make that income. Fantastic. Right? Because that is the income that you eventually put into all these other instruments to be able to grow and multiply, right? So that is where wealth creation comes in. We are going out there to make this money. So when it comes to investment, this is where, as I said, the land comes in, you know, the property, real estate, we have the bonds, we have, you know, the stock market, because we are putting money, we are taking a bit of risk for a possible return. So it could work out, it might not. And you remember, there's different levels of risk, right, when it comes to investments, and depends on also your investment appetite, your risk appetite. So that is what wealth creation is, which a lot of Kenyans like to focus on. Ukisikia tu pesa, yeah?
Those webinars are usually packed.
I'm telling you, how do I make money? How do I make money within 30 days? So you have to be very careful also with that, because we were talking earlier how people get scammed a lot here in Kenya. So you have to be very careful. So that is wealth protection. I mean, that's wealth creation. Now, let's go to the pillar that a lot of us don't think about. Because yes, you're creating this wealth, but you have to remember, like right now, say, for me, I'm in my 30s, or even if you're in your 40s, your 20s, and you're expecting maybe to live into your 80s and to your 90s, so much could happen within those years.
True.
Life is a journey. And even if you're going to be going for a trip, you have to be able to anticipate that some things might not necessarily go your way, right? So that's where protection comes in. Yes, I am going out there to make this money, to multiply this wealth. But what if there's an unforeseen sickness? What happens if I was to lose my job? What happens if you die? Right?
What happens to your children?
What happens to your children? Because as we say, if you are your greatest asset and you're no longer there, where's the income coming from?
It's true.
And we have to be very realistic, because the thing is that someone might feel the compassion to take care of your people, but do they have the capacity to? So it is your responsibility to make sure that you have a protection plan. So what is a protection plan? This is a plan to make sure that unforeseen circumstances have been taken care of. And a protection plan entails of a liquidity plan. That means, okay, if life was to happen today, I need to know that I have cash.
I hope you're taking notes.
I need money. If I was to lose my job today, only money can pay my rent. Even if you have, you know, the way you say that you have assets and you have lands, but you cannot really, and you still are broke, because you can have land, even if you have a high-end property somewhere. You cannot go to the shop and say, hey, boss, so unipatie maziwa na ile niko na kaplot ka prime pale Karen.
It won't work.
It's not going to work. They need cash. So first of all, it's important now to think of liquidity, because in case life was to happen, what I need now is access to cash. Even if I have my money in the stock market, I have my money in bonds, I cannot just withdraw it just the way I feel like it. So how do you make sure that you have your liquidity plan? We're going to speak about it right now. And then we'll now go deeper later in how modern families can structure their protection plan. And then secondly, part of protection planning is having structure.
We have talked about structure in many of our episodes. In everything, I think in life you need structure.
You need structure. And you see, what I find very interesting is we create processes and systems at our workplaces, in our organizations, but we don't do it in a personal and a family level.
It's true.
So, you know, what happens when there's no structure? It means it's going to be chaotic when life happens.
It's very true.
Just imagine now there's no systems at your workplace. Something has just gone wrong. Things are just all over the place. Now you can imagine on a family level. And a lot of us Africans don't like to think of the possibility of something going wrong.
It's true. I think for me, it's something that I always thought about, because when you talk about modern family, I was married. I got children. I was a single parent for all of 6 years, and then I got married again. You talk about modern family and planning for your children or for the future. I think for me, it's something that keeps me awake at night, because I'm like, oh my Lord, my kids have me. They have now a bonus father, but I still need to ensure that they're taken care of. It's my responsibility to ensure that if I'm not here today, their living standards are not going to change. They're not going to be moved from their current school to some I don't know where school.
My God.
So
Yeah.
when we talk about financial planning, I think it's an area that I'm very interested in. And I know so many people in their midlife would like to know, how do they do this? And you've seen so many things shifting.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And you see what you're saying, I can totally relate because I was also married before and my husband died. I didn't expect to be a widow at 30.
Oh, wow. Sorry for your loss.
No, it's okay. Yeah, life happens. You see, as I say, life happens. Nobody knows that life could happen. And at that time, I was a stay-at-home mother. So you can imagine, I was fully dependent
With how many
financially.
kids?
So at that time when he died, my firstborn was 17 months and I was pregnant with our secondborn. So now when he was gone, because we did not see that coming, it was extremely chaotic.
Oh, wow.
Because we didn't see that coming, and nobody ever thinks that they're going to die in their 30s. But sometimes life happens every single day, right?
That was such a young marriage.
Yeah, it was a very young marriage.
The death is the last thing you think of.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't sit down and think, oh my goodness, let's plan this thing because it could happen at any time. No, but you see, I'll take you through maybe what it is that we did and there's some things which I believe we did right and some things we could have done better. I'll take you through that. But you see, if we had better structure, it means that maybe the whole succession process might not even have been there, or it would have been shortened. But as I said, because there's some tools we did not put in place, which I know that you're going to have a conversation with an advocate, it was something else. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yes, protection is liquidity, protection is structure. Protection is also having the necessary conversations that we do not want to have.
With whom?
With family. We're not having the conversations because the worst thing is we might think something, but because you're not speaking about it, we don't know. And you see, the moment you are vocal and someone knows what you're thinking, and sometimes life happens, or maybe at that point you have put it in writing, things are a bit smoother. But you see, parents don't have money conversations with their kids.
And even in modern families, partners don't
even partners don't
because
have.
it's a very delicate issue.
Exactly. Because you see, maybe you have come with your kids.
I know.
And he's come with his
I've come
kids.
with my kids, with my cash. He's come with his kids, with his cash.
So how do you plan? Okay, a good example is, okay, maybe your children are going to, say, International School of Kenya.
I know.
Yeah? And the children are going to which school?
Some
maybe a primary school.
Some polling stations.
Yes, a polling station. So that now, what happens in that situation? Is it that now you're going to combine your money and then all your children have to go to the exact same type of school?
I honestly don't know. What happens?
So I'm telling you, modern family, it's a lot. So you see, if you have these conversations even maybe before or when you're thinking about getting married or doing something now as permanent, you'll know whether this thing is going to work or not.
That's true.
Yeah, because your values could be different. This is why I say the conversations are also part of protection, because it will be clear what are our values and what are our vision.
It's true.
Yeah, so by the time you're getting in, you already know what to expect, compared to, oh, surprise, surprise. You're like, now you want me to downgrade my kids.
I think what I'm getting
Yes.
during this series, which is very interesting on modern families, now I've gotten the term modern families, is that conversations need to happen. People need to be very vulnerable and people need to be real. Because if you're not having conversations, then somebody's going to be cheating the other. Or you could doing your own things behind the...
behind the back.
I know.
Yeah, it's true. So, again, remember the three main aspects of protection, which is liquidity, structure, and the important conversations. Yeah. And then, as I said, there's three pillars. We've spoken about wealth creation, we've spoken about wealth protection, and then there's distribution and preservation. This is now where the legal structures come in, the wills and the trust. How do we pass this wealth from one generation to another? So those are the three main pillars. All of them extremely critical, extremely important, and a lot of people just focus on one. So
Creation.
Just creation, nitatengeneza aje pesa. That is it. So you have a stool that is standing on one leg.
You are so right. So you've made the money, and that's why we see a lot of people when even traditional families, modern families or whatever, when one person is removed, dies or whatever, even the separation, divorce or whatever, you find it's chaos, because people did not have the conversations, people did not plan, people did not write down things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But you see, it's a cultural problem, because the thing is that we've seen our parents not talking about money.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't even know what is the framework of having these conversations. So this is something, okay, I've never seen it happening unless now you go out of your way to try and figure it out and maybe cancel what it is that you have known, and now getting to a whole new space, you're not going to do it. You're going to maintain status quo. Because this is what you've seen, and that is what you're going to continue. Again, now you can imagine, as you said, now people are getting into maybe a blended situation, and you've not discussed something as important as money. And then you are resenting your partner on how it is that they are handling money matters just because you didn't have the conversation beforehand. So when it comes to modern families, you have to be very, very intentional about now your money conversations and also how you're going to structure your protection plan, right? So I'm going to start with how you can structure a liquidity plan as a modern family, right? As I said, it doesn't matter whether you're a single parent, blended family, you know, intergenerational.
Intergenerational, that's a new one. Now I know what
but I think intergenerational has been there for the longest.
It has been there, but I didn't know it was called intergenerational. It's just like there is a 60-year-old and a 24-year-old.
So first of all, when you're planning your liquidity plan or your protection plan, there's 5 main tools. So first of all, you have to have your emergency fund. As we'd said, you don't know. You could lose your job. Maybe income would have not come in as expected if you're someone who's in business, or now your parent is sick.
And emergency funds in this day and age where we are in the world, we have seen companies close up.
Exactly.
Redundancies.
Yes.
Like in Kenya, we have seen a lot of companies wind up and go and operate from another place because of the taxation or whatever. Just business environment is not good. You wake up one day. We actually recently saw the NGO space.
Oh my God. After Trump, because you cannot control who's going to come in as president.
One day woke up and they didn't have jobs.
Exactly.
So the emergency plan is very interesting. Tell us a bit more about that.
Oh my goodness.
The 6 months thing.
Yeah, the 6 month thing. Because you see, one thing I realize is people get so comfortable where it is that they are. And, you know, planning for unforeseen circumstances does not mean that, oh my goodness, I'm always anxious and stop living. Just the way when I'm going for a road trip, the whole time I'm not thinking about, oh my God, could I get a puncture? Could I get someone who's going to rob us on the road? Me, I'm just focusing on, I want to enjoy my trip. But in case I was to get a puncture, I have a spare.
True.
So even with the emergency fund, you have to ask yourself, okay, what are the possible hurdles that could happen in my life? Right now I have a job. I am hired and I'm employed, but one day I could wake up and I'm not employed. So what happens? And you do not want to change the lifestyle of yourself and your children, because you see, money plays a very big role in our lives, and to ignore that is now something very wrong, because you have to remember that this money is what takes our kids to school. This money is what pays the bills.
It's what feeds you.
It's what feeds you. So if you're not having this relationship with money, then what are you doing?
And you know, it's so bad that you find people get fired, the next month they can't pay rent.
Imagine.
You lose your job the next month, or you lose your partner or whatever, the next month you can't pay bills. You either need to move houses, you don't even have a window to look for a new job or settle.
Exactly. And you see, the problem I also realize is people now think that high income is enough. Literally, even if I had 1 million per month today and tomorrow I have no money, the next month, it doesn't matter how much income I had. What is important is what I was putting aside. So an emergency fund, you know, it's the money that you put aside for unforeseen circumstances. It's good to have 6 months to 12 months worth of liquidity. So that's worth of your monthly expenses. That means you should have had a budget. You need to know what is coming into my house and what is going out.
It's true.
So that in case now life was to happen, I didn't have a job, I know what exactly I can do to scale back and how can I survive, for how long can I survive. So at that point, you are not anxious. You can actually look for another job from a place of peace of mind.
It's true.
You're not, oh my God, like I need to get a job tomorrow, because you literally do not have something to take care of the family by next month.
It's true.
So you need to know, okay, I understand that life could happen. So I have this stash of cash set aside. When this unforeseen circumstances was to happen,
we'll still eat.
Kids will
still go to school.
I don't have to go and beg. And I don't have to lose my dignity. Yeah. And even my children do not have to lose their dignity.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's
So
true.
a good place to put your emergency fund is a money market because of how liquid it is.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's money market funds where you can access your money on the same
At
day.
least it's growing.
Yeah,
It's
at
not
least
just
it's
seated in an
growing.
account.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's just good to just have it there, 6 to 12 months, especially now, as I said, when you're in a blended family, have that conversation with your spouse.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And how is it we're going to take care of this situation in case one of us was to lose a job? How are we going to have that continuity?
It's true.
Yeah. So yeah, first is emergency fund. But sometimes emergency fund is not enough, especially for medical emergencies.
Oh, it's true.
You know, going to a gyna, going for outpatient, that is asking, if I was to come ask you, Shiro, for 5K,
I know.
you know, you can give me 5K. But now you've been admitted, it's $1 million.
Yeah.
Are you going to give me $1 million?
ICU and night views, how long? We
It's
claim good health in
150K.
Jesus' name, but
Amen.
you need to plan.
That's, I see, is about 150,000 a night. Yeah. So secondly, after an emergency fund, it's good to have a medical cover so that it can take care of unforeseen medical expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means that comes through an accident or even an illness for you or even for your family.
Yeah.
And then it can be able to protect your finances against now this unforeseen sickness.
Yeah.
Nobody, you know, thinks that they're going to fall sick until they do.
It's true.
And it's such an inconvenience, not just to yourself, but the people who are around you.
Yeah.
So it means if you did not have money or you did not have medical insurance, it means your people have to find a way of raising the money, because I'm not going to let you stay there and die in the living room.
And that's when you realize how many friends you didn't have.
Hey!
When you meet them, that's when you realize, oh my goodness, where are they?
Right.
My phone has gone quiet.
Yes.
Nobody's coming to help.
Exactly. And then the other thing people also have to remember, your friends also are going through stuff.
It's true.
You know,
It's true.
so sometimes we see our friends maybe not coming through as we had expected them, but we also don't know what they're
It's true.
what
Life
they're
is
dealing
happening.
with their houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is your responsibility to take care of yourself,
true.
at least to a certain level. So if it was really, really bad, they can chip in, but they were not your main, you know, plan, right? Because there's something that now I heard of actually. There's something called donor fatigue.
Oh, donor fatigue.
Yes.
I agree.
Donor fatigue.
I've
How
suffered
many
that every so
WhatsApp
often.
groups are you in?
Oh, Lord.
You know?
I like the thing they
Yes.
brought on WhatsApp that
Yes.
you can't just be added into
Nowadays, actually,
you would wake up one morning and you're in like 5, and I don't mean it badly, but you're in 5
Yes.
groups, somebody has died somewhere, somebody needs medical
Yes.
something, and you can't just left.
You can left, and then now you're scared of looking bad when you left, because it's full like kwani hataki kusaidia, yeah, and then you're like, what if it's your day and
I
you
know
they need
that's
to come through for
there's
you?
donor fatigue,
Yeah, there's
because
donor
people
fatigue,
are
yeah.
asking and asking and asking.
Yeah.
But I guess it's also because that they do not know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There are ways that you can be able to protect yourself. And I guess
Exactly.
also looking at it like it's for the rich.
Yeah, most people think it's for the rich. And you see, with medical insurance, there's literally cover from even 6K a year. Not even a month, a year. Budget covers, because there's different levels to it. There's the budget covers for, you're like, okay, I'm so tight on cash, but I still need access to a hospital life in case life was to happen. You can have a budget cover. And then the only restriction is maybe the hospitals that you can go to.
But at least you can see a
But at least you
doctor.
can see a doctor. Yeah. You might not be able to go to the Nairobi hospitals or maybe the Aga Khans, but you can go to Coptic. Or you can go to Nairobi West Hospital or Avenue. Yeah, you still have a bit of access to that. Yeah, so there's the budget covers and more premium covers and even international covers if you want to have access to hospitals even outside the country. What you're paying for is literally access to medical care, right? So a medical cover is also extremely, extremely important. So just have at least minimum an inpatient cover, because if there's something that can rob you of your money, and they say that you're one illness away from poverty. It's when you get admitted.
I know.
And that moment the bill has come to over 5 million, what do?
I know. And medical is so expensive in Africa.
Yeah, it's expensive. And you see now, maybe because you cannot get the right treatment, you might die.
It's true.
Because you can't maybe go to a specific specialist or maybe another country where you can seek help. So it's just good to now have that so that you also don't suffer. And because if you suffer, also the people around you suffer.
It's true.
Yeah. And you see, when someone is admitted, you don't even know how long they're going to be in hospital. So even now for modern families, now you have to ask yourself, okay, now we have come together. How are we going to do this medical thing?
And now let's pause a little bit on the medical family. So we are blended family, for example.
Yeah.
I have my cover with my children. My partner has his cover with his children. And then maybe I can add a spouse or he can add a spouse. and then maybe some of them still have their exes in their covers.
Yes, exactly.
It's so complicated.
It's so complicated, it's true. That actually happens a lot.
It does, eh?
It does. Because you see, remember, this person was with their partner.
It's
you were
true.
also maybe with another partner.
Yeah.
Now things have changed. You're no longer with the previous partners. Now you've come together.
Modern families.
Hey,
It's hectic. It's a lot of conversations, intentionality. You have to talk. You have to be very secure.
Extremely secure.
Yeah.
Because you see now, based on how maybe the breakup went down, maybe you can still, if the other partner had the cover, they can still continue. The children can still be on the other cover. You don't have to remove the children. You see, this is why now open communication is key. So you know, how are we going to go? Maybe their employer is giving them an international cover.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, you could remove me because of one reason or another, I understand, but let the children stay. Because you see now, in some situations, because of how the breakup was bad and the divorce was bad, someone just removes you and your kids as if it's not even their own kids.
I know.
We see a lot. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we see a lot. So those are things that are important. Or now, domestic partnerships, because what people do is use marriage affidavits to now be onboarded. And then now I know you're going to be able to, you're going to talk to the lawyer. Please tell people marriage affidavit is so different from marriage certificate, because some people are working with those things thinking they're protected.
But
just because
it's a document. It's a legal document.
No, but it's not a marriage certificate.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so you're not legally married.
Get married. Affidavit is not going to work when you need it to.
Yeah, maybe it can help you get medical cover through now your partner, but it's not enough for you to get his assets in case life was to happen.
Wow.
You see. So yeah, medical cover is the second, very, very important. As I said, have the conversation. As I said, whether you're a single parent, blended, you have to have some sort of access to medical care in case life was to happen. So it does not rob you of the money you're growing. Yeah. Yes, you are creating, but imagine you're at the 10 million shilling mark with your investment and you have to liquidate that for hospital bills. It's painful. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So that is now medical insurance. That's the second tool. The third tool is life cover. Yeah, because I know a lot of Africans don't like to think about it because we do not like to think of the death conversation.
I know.
But my God, people die every single day.
It's very true.
Yeah, the worst thing is now, because of lack of planning, and we have seen it a lot. Now you can imagine a single parent who is the only provider of that child.
They die.
And they die with absolutely no plan. This is how you find a child being bounced from one house to another.
I know.
Their dignity lost. And you can imagine they've had to now move schools, because who's going to pay that school fees?
I know.
Yeah. And now you don't even have a parent. So you're grieving. You have no parent. You have no money for school fees. You don't know who you are left with, maybe because the parents also did not plan for that, who's going to be the sole caretaker in case life was to happen. And then now the child, because, they cannot even directly inherit, especially if they're under the age of 18. They have to have a guardian, right? Someone who's going to at least take care of them until they're 18, when they can have access to some of these things. But even now, when sole provider or an income earner in the family passes away, they die with the ability to create an income for the rest of their lives.
That's a very interesting point. But I know when people think about life covers, they think it's for the rich, because we have seen it in movies and wherever. The millionaires are the ones who have life covers, the ones who get killed, so that people can get the life insurance money.
It's just that they know how to use it smartly to take care of the generations to come. But you can access life cover anywhere from even 2,000, 3,000 shillings per month. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Because I think the one thing people need to remember, because I'd said every single person is an asset. Yeah, you are your main asset before you even look at anything and everything else. Yeah, so you go to work. You go to make this money. The moment you are not there, then who's making this money for you?
True.
So it means this asset is gone with the ability to create that income for life. So for the people who have especially children under the age of 18, this is a must. It's even a non-negotiable, because now, and imagine someone passes away when the child is 5. Between 5 to the time this child is supposed to finish university, who's going to take care of this child?
And we can get a life cover that then protects or sees these kids through.
Yes.
Until, so how does, tell us a bit about the life covers. How do you appoint guardians? How does it work? Do they get lump sum?
Okay, so
You might get somebody who is given a lump sum and they disappear, and there goes your children.
I am going to explain. Actually, that has been one of our biggest problems. So you see, what a life cover does is, as I said, it protects your economic value. So it protects your income and your future income in case life was to happen, especially at death. But it also has living benefits. So it also pays out in the case of a critical illness like a cancer, a stroke, heart attack. So there's some illnesses which even a medical cover might not be enough. And you see, when you get like a cancer, stroke, heart attack, you might not be able to work. So you need also income replacement. So when you think of life insurance, think of income replacement. So in case of a death, critical illness, or a disability. Yeah. So that means your ability to create that income has been distorted in any of these ways. So what a life insurance does is to replace all that income that could have been brought in the future, right? So what happens is when someone passes away, right, there's a lump sum payout. Yeah. And now let's talk to the people who have children who are under the age of 18. So that